Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Psychology 201. My name is Laura Lawn. I'll be your instructor this term. Welcome to class. I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody. You can see here that we've got our Canvas site set up. So let me show you a little bit around, show you a little bit about what are the expectations of the class, and then I'll let you dive right into exploring around. So this week I'd like you to start off in the modules. So I'm assuming everybody was able to make it to here because you're watching this video. But go to the dashboard and then, home or modules, both of them will take you right to here. But in the modules, my intention is that all of your work should be readily accessible in the modules, that you just hit the modules. You can start at the top and work your way down for all of the work here in Canvas. On the other hand, your textbook is this Macmillan Learning right over here. So you should be able to have access to the e-text via there. That's via Achieve, Read, and Practice. It's an interactive website that helps you with your reading. I believe there is a read to me function. There's also little activities that you can do as you're reading. There's adaptive quizzing, so that as you take quizzes and you get answers right, it moves you farther forward and stuff like that. So it's a really cool interactive textbook, which is why the college has chosen to take it on. So your textbook is over here through the Macmillan Learning, and you will have textbook activities due each week. So the reading of the textbook and the doing the activities and the doing the quiz actually will get you points here in Canvas itself. So make sure you're doing that textbook reading each week, because if you do it after the due date, it will be open after the due date, so you can look back at the rest of the chapters. But if you do it after the due date, you won't get any points for it. So you do have to make sure you're doing your reading and your activities and your quizzes in Macmillan, in the Achieve, Read, and Practice each week by the due date, or else you will not get credit for you. So make sure that you're doing this each week. That's not necessarily something that I remind you about each week. I just assume you're reading the textbook as we go through the term, okay? So make sure you can get into our textbook right over here. You can see that there's a little note saying that our textbook is in the left navigation bar, labeled Macmillan Learning, and then there's some directions that might help you access it if you're having issues. Now, I've been told that this is supposed to be directly included, already set up, good to go. So if you're having any troubles accessing the textbook, please let me know. There's a little bit new technology this term, and they gave it to me at the last minute, so I want to make sure I've got it set up correctly. So please double check and make sure you can get into your textbook. It's the Macmillan Learning and then the Achieve, Read, and Practice after that, okay? When you're done checking your textbook, then go ahead and dive into the syllabus right here. You always want to read the syllabus for every class. It's the contract between you and your instructor. It should have all the details about assignments and points and expectations and all that other good stuff. So read the syllabus, make sure you understand what's expected of you in the class itself. As you come down a little bit farther, you'll see my office hours for the term are listed here. You're welcome to come talk to me anytime you'd like. And then we have a little bit of information about how to succeed in remote or online classes. How do we interact with each other in this online environment, and some study skills. So these are just optional but helpful information to help you succeed in this online environment. Your assignment, however, is week 1 discussion right here, the introductions. I do want you to go through, make sure you can access the textbook, do all of this other good stuff, and then introduce yourself to the class. Now you'll notice that the due date here says January the 13th, which is Friday. Be aware I can only put one due date in Canvas, so I have given you the last due date. However, your original post is actually going to be due on Wednesdays, and then your responses to 2 other people are going to be due on Fridays. So yes, this says January 13th, and that's for the responses due on Fridays. Due date. So be aware that January 11th, Wednesday, is when your actual post is due, and then you have until Friday at the latest to respond to other people. So that's given a couple of people some confusion in the past. I can only give you one due date in Canvas, so I give you the last due date, the Friday due date, but be aware your original post is in fact due Wednesday. Now, when you're done going through week 1 and you know you're set up for the class, I'd recommend you start diving into week 2, because anytime you can work ahead, that's always better. Now, for each week of the chapter information, so you can see here it's week 2, chapter 1. So this would be the chapter that you'd have to read in the Macmillan textbook. Read chapter 1, Psychology's Roots, Critical Thinking, and Self-Improvement Tools in the textbook. Do the activities in the textbook. Make sure you have that quiz taken by the end of the week, okay? By the end of this week, January 22nd. Once you've read the textbook, then you can come in and watch the lectures. So I've summarized a bunch of the information from the textbook in little mini lectures that last anywhere from, you can see some of the shorter ones, or I guess this one's maybe a shorter one here, 8 minutes, and some of the longer ones are maybe 30 minutes or maybe 38 minutes. So there's like little lectures that you can watch in short chunks that will cover the information that you will find in the textbook. Okay, so now sometimes people ask me, which should I do, read the textbook or watch the lectures? And I would say do both. The textbook is a good starting point. My lectures will give you the highlights of that starting point. The textbook dives down deep. It gives you all the information, but I then build on the information. I summarize and build on that information in the lectures. So do both. Read the chapter and watch as many of the little lectures as you can. The Achieve is going to be on the textbook lectures, or the textbook itself. So the weekly Achieve quizzes is on the reading. However, your midterm and final are more the times than not going to be on the information from the lectures. Now, there will be a lot of crossover, but not everything will be crossed over. So again, I would recommend doing both the textbook and the lectures. Okay? You'll come through here, you'll see that I've given you both the lecture video itself and then just the slides. So if you want the slides to be able to read off of, or if you don't have time to watch the whole lecture, you can just do the slides, okay? As we come down here, you'll notice also that at the end, I've given you some optional opportunities to do some more deep dive into the information, so you can do learning questions. You do not have to turn these in. These are just to help you understand. I'll give you references or maybe some handouts and worksheets that you can do that will help you understand and apply the information. I do this each week. You do not have to turn them in, okay? The only point earners you get will be your Achieve reading and quizzes, your discussions, your midterm and final, and then there's a little bonus final down there at the very bottom. Okay, so all of your activities that actually get you points should have a due date on them. If it doesn't have a due date, it is very, very likely it is an optional activity and you do not need to turn them in. Okay, I highly recommend doing all the activities in all the modules, but it's up to you how much time you have. Now, this week is kind of an interesting week as well. As part of the reason why I suggested you start off on it, because when we dive into psychology's roots, and when we start talking about specifically this lecture here, the research method lecture, how do we conduct research, I give you a lot of examples of famous studies from psychology's past. So if you'd like to do a little bit more of a deep dive into those, I've given you more information about a bunch of those. So these are optional videos on the various studies that were discussed in that methods lecture. So if you have some time, again, I'd recommend kind of diving down these rabbit holes. There's some really fascinating things in here. We'll be talking about a variety of studies throughout the course of the term, and I'll always try and give you links so that you can dive down a little bit more if you'd like to. I consider part of my job as a psychology instructor to inspire students. I know some teachers who consider it their job to weed out those students who are not good enough for their field, and that is not what I think. I think we need more voices and more opinions so that we can expand our conversations and we can understand more about the entirety of the human condition. So we need more voices in psychology doing more studies. So it's my job to inspire you rather than weed you out. So you'll find that I've given you a lot of extra information, what I call rabbit holes, as we go through the term. Now, these rabbit holes are things that you can dive down just to see if something's interesting you. It's my attempt to try and inspire you in life. So these videos here are some of these rabbit holes. You can do them or not do them. And then you'll notice the pattern repeats itself again in week 3. You've got the chapter to read over here in the Macmillan Learning, and then you've got videos with the slides. Sometimes I've given you a little interactive website or another article that you can read that will help you understand, give you some PDFs, some graphs and stuff like that. So each time my assumption is that you'll just start at the top of the week and work your way down. So for the class, especially for this week, what are we doing this week? Start here at the top. Welcome to Psychology 201 and do this information. Bare minimum, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here. Bare minimum, you need to do this week 1 information here as it goes all the way down to the week 1 discussion of introductions. Once you're done with that, if I were you, I would dive into next week because it's a rather hefty beginning and it's always fun and better to work ahead rather than fall behind. All right? If you have any questions, you're of course welcome to email me, contact me, whatever you'd like. My office hours, again, are up here in the welcome start here, office hours on Tuesday and Wednesday. You can also get in touch with me via the inbox over here on Canvas, or you can just email me straight, either way. I'm always available to y'all, and I check my inbox or my email multiple times a day. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to let me know. Again, what do you do right now? Read the syllabus. Make sure you can get into your textbook. Those are the most important things to do for the week. Then come on down here and do the welcome start here. Oh, there it is, the introductory discussion, and that's your assignment for the week. So read the syllabus, check out your textbook, make sure you can get your textbook, and introduce yourself to the class. Once you're done with that, I recommend jumping into week 2, but that's just a recommendation. All right, welcome to class one more time. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to getting to know everybody throughout the course of the term. Have a great one.